Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Douglas School Committee to order on November 5th at 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I'd like to read the Douglas Public Schools mission statement. The Douglas Public Schools offer a diverse learning experience that meet the academic, social, physical, and emotional needs of all of our students. We provide a safe, supportive, and challenging learning environment in which students may achieve academic success and personal growth. Decisions are made in the best interest of our students. I'd like to call up our student representatives, Abraham Shepard and Grace Harkness, please. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Grace and I'm here with Abram. We are student council members at the middle school. There are a lot of exciting things happening around the middle school. First was sports. We had many middle school students involved in fall sports this year. The JV and middle school volleyball seasons ended a week ago, and both teams learned many new skills and enjoyed great coaches and teammates. With many of the players on these teams never have played volleyball before, it is amazing to see how much they have all improved. We also had many middle schoolers on both the boys and girls JV soccer teams, who entered their students this week with friendships made and new skills built to carry on next year. The middle school cross-country team had a great turnout and trained hard to reach goals and personal best record. We wanted to thank all the coaches that gave up their time for the fall season. Winter sports are starting to kick off with our winter sports meeting taking place on November 13th at the high school gym from 6 to 7. This year we are happy to announce that our 8th graders will be eligible to join the wrestling co-op with Northridge. There is also a hockey co-op. Girls are with Auburn and boys with Hopedale. 7th and 8th graders can participate in indoor track at the high school as well. This on top of our usual middle school boys and girls basketball teams and our middle school cheerleading team.
Around the school, there are a bunch of other exciting events happening. The Student Council is planning their winter dance, which is a big deal for our middle schoolers. They also kicked off their annual can drive with St. Denis Church. All donations are needed to help the families during the holiday season. The 8th grade voted on their class officers a couple of weeks ago. During their first meeting, they sorted through the lost and found. The National Junior Honor Society has also been hard at work, selecting their class officers. Last week, the whole school participated in our mid-cycle literature circles check-in, where we met with our groups to discuss how we are enjoying our book so far. For example, I'm reading Chasing Vermeer, which is a mystery, and I can't wait to finish to find out what happens.
In Miss Bronzo's science class, they are learning about oceans and tides. They also just completed a Slinky lab to demonstrate different types of waves in their frequency. In math, they are wrapping up their lesson on the Pythagorean theorem. In honors math, students recently wrapped up their lesson on the Pythagorean theorem in distance. They just had a test on this topic today. In civics class, they are learning about big ideas in government and important figures in democracy. In English, they are learning about the foundations of an essay and writing a response to text on the short story Sapphire Sleuth. In 8th grade Spanish, they are learning about Day of the Dead, and each student is creating their own spirit animal that consists of 6 different animals. On top of all the hard work the 8th grade students have been doing, they are also starting to look at their options for high school. This week, Ms. Markopoulos gave them a presentation on the opportunities available to them in high school.
This past month, the 7th grade has been working extremely hard in all subjects. In science, they have been learning about insulators and conductors and did an escape room to practice. The students have also participated in a popcorn lab to demonstrate the difference between convection, radiation, and conduction, different types of heat transfer. In history, for the past 2 weeks, the 7th graders have been learning how to write a historical argument. They have specifically been working on the decline of the Harpins. It is a 5-paragraph essay. In math, the students are working on working ratios and proportions. As they wrap up the past unit, they are beginning the next unit on percentages. In ELA, the 7th graders have been working on writing responses to literature essays. They read The Case of the Stolen Pearls, And then students got to pretend to be detectives for about a week.
In science, 6th graders have recently been learning about continental drifts, convection currents, and tectonic plates. They have done a virtual lab on this topic using Gizmo's a cool new program. In math, they have been working on multiplying and dividing fractions and decimals throughout engaging riddles and puzzles. They just had a test last week. In history, they just completed their Douglas History projects where they learned about the history of important Miss Mertenson. They just completed writing letters to their future selves and are now starting a unit on prefixes, suffixes, and root words.
On a final note, quarter 1 grades closed on Monday, with the report cards going out this Friday. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Anybody here for public comment? Please come up and state your name and address, please.
Good evening. Name and address, right? Scott Shea, 71 Old Farm Road, Douglas. I don't have a big speech prepared like when I came last time. Number one, I just wanted to come because I know watching the recordings from the past couple meetings that there was a lot of hard work put into my ask, which I believe is on the agenda tonight for allowing my 5th grader and 2nd grader to get off the bus without a parent present. So number one, I wanted to say thank you for the time and effort that the principals, the superintendent, and the committee put into discussing that. It's, again, obviously very important to my family. Again, just a reminder, this was allowed, something that was allowed last year via the secret form, I think is. But they're allowed, they said that one family in particular, I'm thinking of a Douglas resident, she said she can't stand on her porch, she needs to go out to the bus stop. And I understand that. I understand that's the position of the school and the district, and that's what we're trying to change today for her older elementary school kids to get off the bus. The past 2 times this week, this isn't to throw a bus driver under the bus or a family or anything, but I've watched a parent get her 2nd grader alone off of the bus would be the equivalent of 2 to 3 Pond Street houses away. In my community, our houses are very spread out. Now, common sense says the parent's coming, she's running around the corner late, I'm coming to get my kid, the bus came 3 minutes early. Common sense would obviously say, let the student off the bus. We're not going to hold up traffic and wait for that parent to walk the 500 feet to get to the bus stop. But that's equidistant to where my house is, where we'd be standing on the front porch too if we were home. Again, this whole situation I brought up was in case we're running late, not that we're just going to blow off the bus stop, right? So I hope that's taken into account. And then, again, my notes here, I just wanted to, again, thank you for the time and effort. This will be beneficial to the taxpayers in different situation families around Douglas. And that's really all I had to say about it. I did just want to point out to the committee, too, that as a veteran in the community, I'm very excited to go see what the elementary school has in store this year after attending many years of Miss Socha's Veterans Day celebration, having now a 5th and 2nd grader that have done their entire tenure through the Douglas community. The elementary school has some big shoes to fill to beat yours, Miss Socha. So luckily, I'll have the opportunity to watch both iterations, having a 5th and 2nd grader. So looking forward to that next week. And I don't know where this is on the agenda. I don't know if I can ask a question, but I searched the website high and low. I found every old agenda, but couldn't find tonight's. I don't know if it's publicly available, but if discussing this is the next thing on the agenda, I'd like to stick around. I just don't know if it is. If it's later in, I'd like to get back home to my family and watch this recording. So I don't know if you can answer that for me.
Dr. Vera can answer whether or not it's on the agenda.
It's probably about an hour into the agenda.
Okay, I'll watch it on the recording. Thank you for your time tonight. Again, thank you
so
for
much.
all the hard work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your service.
Thanks.
Anybody else here for public comment? Seeing that there is none, moving on to old business,
There isn't any?
on to new business and superintendent's report,
All right,
please.
thank you, everyone. I'm going to have Mr. O'Brien come up and briefly review the Douglas Middle School Pathway Exploration Policy, our 2nd reading. Again, we typically do, well, we don't typically, we do 3 readings, so just for the committee and for those of you who are watching, to have a quick overview of what the Pathway Exploration Policy is. We'll do our 2nd reading tonight, and then our 3rd and final reading at our November 19th meeting. Bob?
Thank you. In May, DESE's board adopted new regulations for middle school pathway explorations effective this school year. Vocational schools received guidance on August 22nd, and sending middle schools, and shortly after that, they sent middle schools, the guidance department letters right around the same time, right after that. The policy that we came up with ensures that all middle school students are informed about career and vocational opportunities and can make decisions about high school and high school pathways. DESE requirements where middle schools must provide students with information by October 15th through multiple channels. At Douglas, this includes posting on the counseling website, handing out communications from the vocational schools, and individual and classroom conversations with students. Schools continue to release names and addresses of the 7th and 8th grade students to the other schools by October 15th, unless families opt out. All saying middle schools must develop and maintain a pathway exploration project that outlines the collaboration we take with the other schools and to inform students of their opportunities. I believe one of our speakers this evening talked about how our guidance did just that. And I was very proud of how she presented all the positive activities here at Douglas High School as well. We did get an extension just to do the 3 readings from DESE. It was due November 1st, but for the three readings, that was impossible. The policy must be posted on the district website and written copies provided to families upon request. And DESE provided modules to meet awareness requirements, which we share with students and families via the counseling website. The takeaway is this policy ensures that all students have equitable access to career and pathway information, fosters collaboration, and supports students in making informed decisions about their high school experience and their careers after high school. And it is a 6-page document spelling out step by step what we will do for all of our students.
Questions?
I don't know if you had any questions on that document that was presented in the first reading.
It was very thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, next on the agenda is the first reading of a meal expense reimbursement policy. We've never had a meal reimbursement policy for when staff members or people go to conferences. We basically modeled this after the town's current policy. The only tweak, which I'll get to in a minute, is the amount. So just for an overview, out-of-town one-day events. So the event must have prior authorization of the superintendent or their designee. Meal allowance will be as follows. Lunch, $25 maximum, only if out of town for 6 hours or more. Any additional meal expenses over and above this total is a responsibility of the employee and not reimbursable. So one-day events, lunch, $25. For out-of-town multi-day events, day 1 is lunch, $25 maximum, dinner, $35 maximum. The middle day, complete total not to exceed $75. And then the last day, $15 breakfast maximum, $25 lunch maximum. Dinner will not be included unless the day extends more than 6 hours after the given lunch period. And then again, any additional meal expenses over and above the total will be the responsibility of the employee and are not reimbursable. Any exemptions to this policy must be received prior approval of the superintendent. The only difference we have is we added $5 to the town, what the town currently had. So they're currently 10 for breakfast, 20 for lunch, 30 for dinner. When they did the policy, I believe it was in 2001, 2002, 2122. Sorry, 2122. And as we know, a lot has changed in the cost of food in the past 4 or 5 years. So this is the first reading of it, and you can try to model it basically verbatim from what the town has consistent with them. So happy to answer any questions the committee might have on it. Okay. I'm just going to ask to flip the SEL and the MSBA out of order, so I'll finish my part and then turn it over to the principals. Last week, I attended a meeting on the 29th with the MSBA, and I'm very happy to announce that we've been accepted, or the primary school has been accepted into their accelerated repair project for a partial roof replacement and window and door replacement project. The reason it's a partial roof replacement is the roof has to be over, I think, 25 years old, and there's a small portion of the roof that doesn't hit that criteria, so they're gonna replace the portion of the roof that meets that criteria, along with doors and windows. Our commencement date is July 1 of 2026. Right, so it's this July 1. What we have to do is we have 90 days from the commencement date to secure funding for the schematic design of the project. So schematic design is basically, what is the plan? What does it look like? How much is it gonna cost? What are you gonna do for a roof? What do we have to do for infrastructure work, et cetera, et cetera. The only way we can get that in place is through our Springtown meeting. So I've had a conversation with Mr. Wojcik prior and again today, where this should be a warrant article for the town meeting in May. Schematic design is roughly anywhere from about $100,000 to $300,000 for schematic design, and we're looking at a project in or around that $1.5 to $2.5 million. So the conversation I had with Matt today was, if we're going to go forward with a schematic design, we really need to have the appetite to go forward with the entire project, because this isn't getting an architect to come out for $3,000 and tell you this is what it's going to cost. If we're going to invest, and the town and the community is going to invest that $500,000, $750,000 in the project for the design, we have to be committed to going back to the taxpayers for the full cost of the project. Schematic design is roughly 12 to 14 months is what they're telling us. So we'd be looking at a start date in summer or fall of '27 for the project. They still haven't given us the reimbursement rate. We met, I believe it was two Thursdays ago. They sent an email out after. I replied. I still haven't heard back for next steps. But I just wanted the committee and the community to know that we've been accepted into the project, and then we'll see what happens at town meeting in the spring. Questions on that? Ms. Rossi, you look like you want to ask something.
So, once you figure out how much it costs, we don't actually know how much they're reimbursing, or it's up to a certain amount that they?
So it's up to a certain amount.
Okay.
We'll know before we go in front of the taxpayers.
Okay.
In the community, what the reimbursement rate is. We just don't know what it is right now.
Okay.
The last time they did this, it hovered between 45 and 55%.
And if I may, I'll put on my finance hat from the town side, because I also sit on the finance committee. The town is in a good financial position where there is free cash available. So it may not have to be where we're going and we'll put it on the ballot, but we'll utilize free cash.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, that, I think, is maybe the genesis of where it will be. It'll probably be utilizing free cash that year for this effort, depending on what the reimbursement is.
Okay.
So it just depends on what that reimbursement rate is. So,
All right. Thank you. Some good news. Well, like we said, the bones and the structure of the primary school are solid. I mean, they don't build buildings like that anymore. So the roof is 40 years old. It's on its 100th.
he's just
Life.
digging his own grave, isn't he?
We'll talk later, yeah. I don't know what he said, but I figured out what he said, yeah. So we'll stop before we go down the path. So next on the agenda is the SEL presentation. We're going to start off with Mr. Haynes, then go to Bob, and then Rob. One of the great things about Panorama, which is a platform we have, is it gives principals the ability to survey students on a bunch of different SEL topics and provide us feedback as to where they are on their journey. Panorama is also great that it gives us and gives staff 50, 75, 100 different lessons that attack and and gives teachers resources to work with kids to address these deficits. And one thing new to Panorama this year that they didn't have in previous years is instead of doing the full assessment, which can take 20 minutes to half hour, they allow us, if we're targeting one specific area, like let's say growth mindset, they have a 3 to 4 question survey that you can give in 45 seconds to kids to see if the work that you've been doing is making head gains or not. So that's another feature that we've added this year. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mr. Haynes.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vera. Good evening, everyone. One thing I will say about Panorama just really quickly is that they're constantly doing updates and additions. And another thing that I will say is that they're very responsive. So like when, if we have individual teachers that they're willing to communicate with individual teachers and support them. So that's one thing that I've been really impressed by. They're very responsive and helpful. Like if a teacher has questions, that teacher can reach out to our contact person. They'll make like a quick how-to video and send it right back to us. So it's been really, I think that those teachers that have, taken it that far in terms of using the tool and want to learn more about it have been impressed, and as have I. But I'll dive into the results here, and if we take a look here, the survey results comparison. One of the nice things about this, I guess, is consistency, right? If we look here, thus far, at the elementary school, we've conducted 3 of these surveys, and the same 3 areas have consistently shown up as areas of weakness for us, right? Which is, it kind of emphasizes the point that it's an area of weakness, yes, but it also helps us kind of zero in on something that we need to improve upon. This year, as opposed to last year, where our school improvement goal was more around our tiger traits. This year, our school improvement goal, and I'll get into it in a little bit, is these areas specific to the survey. So there's going to be a greater emphasis on this is really our target. So in terms of what we're trying to accomplish this year, but if you look, emotion regulation, growth mindset, and self-efficacy, those are the 3 areas that are part of the assessment. And then if I get into our action steps here, how we plan to address it. Training. We've done a lot of training with Panorama. When we had our, when we all returned to school, when we've had our PD days, we've had a lot of training, so the teachers are getting more and more proficient. And it's just one of those things that the more familiar you get with it, the more you use it and the more you can use it. And then also we did a staff, at our staff meeting, not the most recent one, but last month, what I had the teachers do is I had them work in teams and dive into the data and then basically kind of really just use the tool. So they were given the survey results, and then they went from the survey results into the playbook, which is all the different interventions you can provide. So they identified, based on the survey results, areas of need. And then they went into the playbook to see what interventions they could utilize. And then what I did is I had a share. We then did a sharing throughout. Like every team had a representative go up and say, "This is what we identified. These are the strategies in the playbook that we see that we can use with our kids, and this is why." And so basically, it was a way to get teachers like right into it right away, and then they could take those and share with one another what they felt were effective strategies, and then incorporate them into their classroom, right afterwards when they have morning meeting the next day, that week, or whatever. So really getting them into the platform. And so I talked about training, consistent instruction and use. It's our school improvement goal. So that's one of the things. Again, last year the school improvement goal was with the tiger traits, but here it's increasing everyone's familiarity with the tool, how to use the tool, and how to access those interventions to incorporate with the students. And then I will also say that we have a terrific new school adjustment counselor, and her goal is basically, around getting, so she has a student learning goal, and her student learning goal involves her, the school adjustment counselor going to all the classes, conducting lessons with the students, but then her professional practice goals has her working with all the teams and the individual teachers to increase their familiarity with these particular SEL areas and having them incorporate them into their morning meetings. So do you see what I'm saying? So one, it's like it's more her direct contact with the kids, but then the professional practice is collaborating with the teachers to get them using the tool more. So it's really a big part of our culture. Now, And then continued character development. We're still continuing to do the tiger traits because it's just something that the kids love, and they're all like, they're great human skills to have, so we're going to continue to keep those in front of the kids. I guess I need to forward a little bit more. So those are our action steps. But maybe to give you a little better sense of the survey, what I've done is I've included some of the actual questions, right? So if you look at emotion regulation, you can see here, how often are you able to control your emotions when you need to? And so you can see how our students responded. When you get upset, how often do you stop and think before you act? Right? So these are the questions, right? So how did we get these scores, right? Well, these were the questions that the students were asked. And then if I go to the next slide
Can we just
here.
go back to that slide, Ken?
Oh, of
real
course,
quick?
yeah.
Just for people to see. This is the survey is given for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And if you read some of these questions, 5th graders should be able to decipher and understand what's meant from something. But I think of some of our 3rd graders right out of 2nd grade. And you read something like, how often are you able to pull yourself out of a bad mood? Kids might understand often and able and bad mood, but that phrase, pull yourself out of, could be confusing for an 8-year-old to understand. So that's part of the reason why I wanted people to see this, that although we know we have work to do on this, in this area, some of it might be because kids didn't understand the questions. So how are we going to work with kids on that is another piece of this puzzle. Go ahead, Ken.
And again, I think I mentioned it before, is like kind of putting language to the concept helps kids understand it better, right? So that's one thing that we're trying to accomplish as well, and hopefully they'll have a better understanding of the questions. But if I jump ahead, if you look on this slide here, this is an example of the Panorama playbook. So you can see they basically collect these from different curriculum providers, some of whom everyone's quite familiar with. So there's a lot of credible resources up there, and there's ratings, and so teachers can draw from this. And if you want to, like now, if I go to the next slide here, this gets into just some of the aspects, the action, the instructions. Walks you through one of the lessons. So one of the interventions. And then here, this is growth mindset. So you can see in terms of that, look, if you look at that last question, when you make a mistake on schoolwork, how often do you ask your teacher for ways you can do better next time? 21%. I mean, that's a real great opportunity to, teach kids that, I have a kid in college now, and I'm like trying to coach him to connect with his professors and ask them for help, you know what I mean? So it's a good thing the earlier you learn that, the better, to connect with and work with your teachers. So this is a great opportunity for us to develop growth mindset with our students. Jumping ahead to some of the playbooks. And then if I jump here, growth mindset statements. If you take a look at this here, you can see this is one strategy that a teacher can add to the playbook that they can do with their students, right? Just growth mindset statements, right? So you can look through the playbook, and there's a really great range in terms of appropriateness for the ages of the students. So teachers can really pick what works best for their kids if they're just like the littles in 2nd grade, or maybe those older middle school, high school, whatever. It's a really great resource, and there's just a lot there, a lot available. And then I'll jump ahead next to self-efficacy. So as you can see here, these questions, the one that our students draw: when complicated ideas are discussed in class, how sure are you that you can understand them? That's kind of a interesting concept for like a 2nd grader to get their head around, but still, you know what I mean? Just starting these sort of mature conversations and concepts and vocabulary and things like that. There's other sort of soft skills, if you will, that come along with this, in addition to just having kids have a better understanding of where they are in terms of their SEL status. So, and then here, again, more questions, the playbook again, and self-reflection journaling. So students reflect on themselves and their experiences, goals, and aspirations, right? So just a nice reflection journal. Having kids, integrated with writing, it's a great thing for them to work on. And then lastly, our Tiger Paw, which is always part of our culture. So, any questions?
Anybody?
Okay.
No, I like the thoughtfulness that was put into this, right? And just sharing it and figuring out between the staff and administration, right, what we need to do to help the kids, right? And I look forward to seeing what it's going to be in the spring, because I'm sure we're going to see that growth mindset will be a little bit further along. This is always, I would say, a very important topic for all of us. First and foremost, if the social emotional is not there for our students, it's hard for them to excel in school. So, thank you so much.
Through the chair.
Yes, of course.
I'm just thinking, when you are putting together these results, it's across third, fourth, and fifth, right?
Correct.
So when they're compared, it's not, I guess I'm wondering if there's a way to track, say, like a third grader's growth from third through fifth. So you can watch to see if the growth mindset is developing, self-efficacy, if that's developing, if we're
Sure.
able to like break out those details. Because when it's apples to oranges if you're just comparing like third grade to third grade each year, right?
Right.
So what we really want to see is in the fifth grade, by then, like, to see everybody ideally at 100%, right? But to see the growth.
Right.
Is that something that we're able to see?
I haven't we haven't looked at it individually like yet. It's right now, it's just like kind of how can we cast a broad net over those areas. But it's a great point, right? Just like with kids learning, right? Just like with the STAR results, right? Where we see their individual results that helps us target them. Same thing for these, so.
I think the idea would be, like, certainly down to the individual, but at least on grade level.
Yeah.
To see if kids are, and then you can probably pick out any kids that. Aggregate the data. Yeah,
For
exactly.
an individual student, when you pull up an individual student's dashboard, you can look and you can see over years, MCAS scores, STAR scores. You can also see the same thing for SEL scores for an individual student. I don't know, we can ask Casey and send her an email. Like you said, they've been very responsive. Is there a way to do historically, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, just to see the historical trend by grade? I know you can do it by student. Be curious to see if we could do it by grade.
Might be a little easier for you, I think. to
Yeah, no.
start, Right? And then I think that's where the real
That's where the growth
data
is, yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I agree. I'd be shocked if you couldn't. It's
Yeah.
just, but when you go there, you see, like I said, everything. It's like Power School is great. It's very black and white, right? And Panorama, like I say, it just colorizes everything, and it's great. So yes, thank you.
Thank you.
The chair.
Absolutely.
I also love what your school adjustment counselor is doing. I think it was really smart for them to choose a student and a professional goal that both meets the needs of not only the students but the educators as well. And I think that's just kudos to them. That's great.
She's great. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. O'Brien.
Sorry.
Hello again. So at the middle school, we had all students in the grades test in 6, 7, and 8. We had 246 total responses. Grade 6, 99, grade 7, 72 of those students, and grade 8, 75. And that's due to a couple of reasons. Our absences are catching them on the days that we're administrating the survey. We try to catch all of them, but we got pretty close. Areas of strength. So when it comes to supportive relationship, the questions that are asked, which is in the bottom left corner, do you have a teacher or other adult from school who you can count on to help you no matter what? 84% responded favorably, which we're in the top third of the nation when it comes to that. And then a fantastic question that reflects the community of Douglas is, do you have a family member or other